Yeah, it's a rare Sunday record in my office.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, in where do you typically record? In Sarah's office?
Yeah, normally I go, like Sarah's office is like connected to our bedroom, and so I go up there while everybody does whatever downstairs, watches TV, finishes breakfast or whatever, and just so they don't, because my office is right off of the family room, so so they don't hear me like cursing and stuff, and and just generally talking. I'll go upstairs and I can shut the bedroom door and the office door and be uninterrupted. So, but now I'm like, I was thinking, okay, I got to go home. I got to move my computer. I was like, wait a second, I don't have to go upstairs. I can just stay downstairs. So it's going to be weird. I'm such a routine based person that I'm worried it might throw me off, but we'll see. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Had a wrestling show last night, and I did not lose my voice.
Oh, sweet.
I know. What the hell?
So you're not doing anything different, just lucky?
Just lucky. Yeah.
Just
lucked
good.
into it. Oh my gosh.
Is there a short version as to why you were having such a hell of a week, it sounded like, on Tuesday?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. We adopted a dog on Saturday.
I saw that.
Saturday prior. Tuesday morning, right before we had started recording, we had decided that we were going to return him to the shelter. Yeah, not something that either of us wanted to do, and it's not even something that we did because it was in our best interest, but we did it because of his best interest, because we could clearly tell he did not want to be here. He had severe, I shouldn't say had, like past tense, he has severe separation anxiety. So he needs a buddy. He needs another dog, or a parent that's going to work from home or be home all the time. And we can't do that. We can't provide that. And if he doesn't have somebody there constantly, like whenever he's on the couch and just snuggling with us, totally fine. But the second we get up, he's following us. He's like shaking whenever he hears the sound of keys. We tried putting him in his crate, and we literally closed the bedroom door and walked down the stairs. And in the time it took us to do that and open up the Blink camera app, because we have some indoor cameras and we had one pointed at his crate, he had already just about broken out of the crate.
Oh my gosh.
So there's no way we could have, there's no way we would have had the time to help him out, really. But I've got a good relationship with she's the interim executive director of the Humane Society down here. We do segments with her on the station every week. And I was actually like talking with her like back and forth pre and post adopting him, and she let me know we returned him on Wednesday afternoon to the shelter, July 5th. July 7th, Friday afternoon, she texts me and says, Waterloo just got adopted by a woman who has another older dog who he's going to be best friends with. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible.
Sweet.
So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, kind of a relief. And so you guys are back on the hunt.
Not for a while, no. Because really, what this did was, I knew I wasn't ready. But it really just kind of reopened, or just ripped open all those wounds with Bosco.
Yeah.
Because obviously we didn't have a choice with Bosco. It was put him down or watch him die suffering. But with Waterloo, we had the choice, and it's hard. It's hard to make the choice to give a dog up.
Yeah, totally. But it sounds like it was the best thing to do. All right, should we get going?
Yeah, might as well.
All right, welcome to No Hugging, No Learning.
It's a show about one thing, watching Curb Your Enthusiasm for the first time.
I'm Tim Murphy.
And I'm Ted Hollowell.
And today we will be talking about Season 7, Episode 5, Denise Handicap. That's right, we're in the middle of Season 7. But before that, what's the deal with stuff from our last episode? The hot towel. I didn't have any trivia, tidbits, or homework or anything like that. But let me know if this counts as Curb Your Continuity. I think it does. In the hot towel, Larry is able to run to Jeff's house and Ted Danson's house, yet Larry is constantly shown driving to Jeff and Susie's house in many other episodes. And a significant plot point of the Freak book is that Larry and Cheryl needed to hire a limousine to take them to a party at Ted's house so they would be able to drink and still get home. If it was in the same neighborhood, you got to figure they could go, oh, let's walk home. We'll walk home. Unless they're so unbelievably rich that they would hire a limo to sit outside just to go a couple, like, blocks where you could run, you know, a house close enough that you could run there within a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they're just so unfathomably rich that, like, they could take a limo to a neighbor's house. So I think they're playing a little fast and loose with the location. So I think it does count as Curb Your Continuity. So there we go. But that's all I had.
That's all you got?
All we have.
Wow.
Yeah, all we got. Yep.
All right. Any like news or anything?
I don't think I saw anything. No.
Dang. Okay. We are really just rolling through it today. Yeah. So, okay, let me, because I did not expect you to be done so quick. Let me pull up my Patreon, people. If you have never listened to us before, we are not a research-heavy show despite the last, oh, God, I don't know, 11 minutes? We had 40 minutes last week. I just published the episode for last week, and we went 40 minutes before we got to this point.
Wow.
But yeah, if you have never listened to us before, we are not a research-heavy show, despite the last 11 minutes being exclusively research and bullshit, but we like to have our questions pop up naturally in the run of the episode and assign them to ourselves the week following as though we are giving ourselves homework. I've never seen these episodes before. Tim has never seen these episodes before in the last 14 years. If we miss anything, if we egregiously skip over anything, please send us an email or send us a tweet. It's at NoHugging on Twitter or nohuggingnolearningshow@gmail.com. We are unfortunately not on Threads because we are not on Instagram. Although, if you got any suggestions for what we should make our Instagram username, let us know because no hugging is taken and no hugging, no learning is taken. And you know, I'm super pissed. The person who has at no hugging has no posts, has like 5 followers. They have joined Threads.
Oh, come on.
I know.
What the hell?
So it's not even that they're like inactive. It's just they're not using it.
I guess they're just using it to stalk their friends and stuff.
I guess that's it. That's it.
I think
maybe if we
yeah.
just start harassing them in like mentions, you know, like a mention a day in a post and a story where we're just constantly tagging them regardless of context, you know? Yeah. Went to get ice cream this morning, thanks, at no hugging.
Yeah. You know,
maybe they'll like surrender it to us or something.
I was looking up, and I'm going to cut this out in case someone goes and fucking snipes it. So remember to cut this out and bleep this because I don't want anyone to get it if we... But I was thinking about this and no hugging... Oh, wait a minute. Hang on, I fucked it up, I think. I did no hugging, no hugging.
No hugging. Actually, that's not the name of the show, Tim.
No hugging. So, no is not taken.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. We might
be the
something.
Way to go. Because no _ hugging _ no _ learning is taken.
Is taken. I know.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And no hugging, no learning straight. There's another one that made me mad because at no hugging, no, she uses hers. There was another one that like
she really doesn't though.
Oh, she doesn't?
No.
Well,
she doesn't Desiree? No. Yeah. 0 posts, 470 followers on Threads.
You're right. That's obviously, and the picture makes me think spam bot. Like that's a porn spam bot. I'm sorry, Desiree, if you're just a big fan of Seinfeld and maybe you listen to this. I doubt it.
I will say I have talked to the people who run the Champagne Video Store. Yeah. I've talked to the people who run Sign Peaks, and they would be more than willing to kind of like promote us on their stories and give us a collab post maybe to kind of like get us some followers.
Yeah.
But Because I don't know if either of them listen, but they're all like they're constantly like posting really cool shit.
Yeah.
And
that's the other thing. Now we have to create picture content.
Yeah, we can come up with shit. You come up with so much shit that you could easily do this.
I am constantly looking at the world through the eyes of Seinfeld. Like, for instance, just last night, like it was probably midnight before I went to bed, I saw the hilarious story that Bob Huggins, the former coach of the West Virginia basketball team, like, I don't know, he got a DUI and then resigned or something, and then the story comes out yesterday that he says he never resigned as a basketball coach and he wants his job back. And I'm like, this is Costanza at that property company that he worked, where Friday he stormed out and called his boss like stupid, and then Jerry was like, just show up on Monday like you were just blowing off steam, and that's what he does. And I was like, he pulled a Costanza, like, I didn't resign, I still work here. Like, what? So yeah, I'm constantly looking for ways to connect, any story to a Seinfeld storyline.
Yeah, Tim, you see the world wild and in wild ways.
Yeah.
Or how's it go? I see the world wildly and in wild ways.
Is that I think you should leave Volcano
sketch
or whatever? Yeah. Don't call him creative.
Don't say anything he says is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say it. It's inappropriate. No, go ahead, say it. A bloody cock. All right. So picture content should be no problem. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, we're on Instagram and, maybe more importantly, Threads.
That's
the bottom line.
The important one, yeah. Where was I at?
I have no idea.
We kind of... If you like us a little bit more than following us for free on social media, you can join us over on Patreon. It's patreon.com/nohugging, where for $5 a month, you can get early and extended access to every single episode. I want to give a shout out to our lone $1 a month patron, Michael Klatsky. Michael Klatsky, the only person in the Spare a Square tier. Michael Klatsky, unfortunately, does not get the early access to the episodes, but Michael Klatsky does get a special thank you here. Michael Klatsky, thank you.
Thanks.
And then we've got our It's a Hyundai tier. We have got H.E. Pennypacker. We've got Dry Bones, Nate Collins, Tamara Ortiz, the guys and gals at the Idiotville podcast, John Murphy, but not Kathleen Murphy, Danica Ligorio, J-Dog Conlord, Nick Kudla, Adam Webb, and Megan Stolarski. Thank you guys so much. Again, patreon.com/nohugging, $5 a month. You can get early and extended access to all of our episodes, as well as we're recording this, I'm in the process of posting and scheduling our new Patreon exclusive bullshit movie review for The Wizard.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah, finally did a new movie review. It's been a long time coming. We both have had a lot of stuff going on where we've just been real busy. But again, that is exclusive to Patreon, and that is exclusive to $5 members over on patreon.com/nohugging. Tim, what did you like about The Wizard without giving too much away?
Well, I mean, it was a huge part of my childhood. It was a movie I loved when I was growing up, and I don't think it's giving too much away to say that, to me, it held up. I really enjoyed revisiting it.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
I enjoyed it.
Because you'd never. This was your first time watching it.
Yeah, I had never seen it before. It's older than I am.
Had you even heard of it?
No, I had never heard of it. Not once. I do want to post a little clip. I want to start doing clips of the Patreon reviews on the free feed, and because that's where we have our biggest audience.
Yeah.
So which part of the review do you want me to clip? Only 5 minutes or so.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a really funny. Let me look back through my notes and see if you could. I mean, I don't know if this was super funny, but you could always post the Seinfeld connections that we had right off the bat, where we talked about Christian Slater, Fred Savage, and Beau Bridges, and also a little bit of Jenny Lewis, why we were doing it in the first place. There's the stuff about the punch sound effects was kind of funny. I mean, this might get some of the elder millennials to pony up. Talking about the Power Glove scene.
Yeah,
the Power Glove scene might
really
be
good.
that might be the one to do.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's got to be it.
Yeah.
All right, yes, patreon.com/nohugging, $5 a month, early and extended access for all of our episodes. All that being said, Season 7, Episode 5, Denise Handicap. Or is it Denise Handicapped? Because Max has it as Denise Handicap, which is, I think, correct, because that's what Larry says in the show. But yeah. IMDb, Fandom, AV Club, Rotten Tomatoes, all listed as Denise Handicapped.
I think that's wrong. I think Max has it right.
I think it's definitely wrong, right?
Yeah, that's really surprising. Yeah, no, it's definitely because it refers to what Larry says in the show. Yeah,
he has Denise Handicap in her phone, not handicapped, yes.
Right, yes.
But either way, Season 7, Episode 5, Denise Handicap, original air date October 18th, 2009. And if you're looking in TV Guide that night, you are going to see Larry learns to embrace the upside of disability without actually being disabled and looks to disprove a rumor.
Interesting. Wow. I mean, it's accurate. But this is kind of an anomaly in the synopses because sometimes we hate them because they're inaccurate. But this one's accurate, but it still might not be good. We'll have to see if we can make it better at the end. By the way, I do want to mention that the night this episode aired, Sarah and I were celebrating 1 year of wedded bliss.
No way. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, really. I don't know if I hope we were going out or something and not watching Curb. I don't remember what we were doing for our
You can do both.
Yeah. You know what? We had already moved to Jackson by this point. We got married and then we moved in around this time in 2009. So we were in Jackson. I don't know what we were doing. I'd be very curious to see if I could find that out somehow.
I'm sure she'll remember, like, hey, what did we do for our first wedding anniversary? It's been long enough that she can't fault you for not remembering. It's been 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I think I just remembered what we did before we left, and this was a cool gift. Before we left, somehow her coworker found out what like a really good restaurant near where we were going to live is and bought us a gift certificate to there, which I thought was a cool going away gift.
How timely for not necessarily this episode, but last episode.
Oh yeah, the restaurant gift certificate. Exactly. But I thought that was a cool going away gift. It's like here's a gift card to a cool local restaurant where you're going. And so I do remember that's where we went on our 1 year anniversary. It was called Parker House, I think, and it was a really nice restaurant just a couple miles from where we lived in Ridgeland, the suburb of Jackson. That was it.
The Parker House? Oh, yeah, I'm seeing Parker's personal care home.
It closed. Yeah, I think while we were still there. We lived there for a long time, so it closed up. We did get to go a couple more times before it, closed down. But yeah, it's not around anymore. Parker House.
Oh, here it is. Menus for Parker House in Ridgeland.
There you go.
Wow.
All right.
Fried boudin, crawfish cakes, that's just the starters. Entrees, shrimp and grits.
Oh, yeah.
Filet of beef tenderloin, redfish parmesan. Wow. You can tell.
Making me hungry again.
You can tell that a place is fancy when they only have like 11 things totaled on their menu.
Yeah, it was. It was fancy for Ridgeland, especially. Good stuff. All right. Remember, unlocking memories. Okay. So we open this episode at the 18th Street Coffee House, which was at 1725 Broadway in Santa Monica. And evidently, it was featured pretty heavily in the show Modern Family. I never watched, but if you're a Modern Family fan, maybe you recognized this place.
Another Jeff... what's his real last name? Jeff, not Green.
Jeff Garlin.
Garlin, another Jeff Garlin joint.
Was he on that?
Oh, yeah. Wait,
Oh.
no, he's on the... What
He
show
was
is he
on
on?
He was on the Goldbergs for
The
sure.
Goldbergs, that's what he was on. It's one of those stupid fucking network shows.
Yeah. But this the 18th Street Coffee House, we're still outside. It closed for COVID and has yet to reopen. The last time Google drove by, though, it has the same facade, so maybe people are holding out hope for this neighborhood coffee joint. Larry is in there whistling along to headphones, music he's listening to in headphones, whistling aloud in a quiet coffee shop while people are just trying to enjoy their day and do work. One woman actually inquires what he's listening to, and he says it's Chi Yun, and they both talk about their love of this Chi Yun. I have no idea. I'm just going to write this down for next week. It seems like something that, like, maybe at the time people definitely know. I have no touchstone. I have no memory of Chi Yun, so we're going to have to look up and see what she was up to in 2009. Larry brags that he's been invited to a private recital, and he parlays that fact into a date. That this woman, could accompany him if they maybe went on a pre-date to see if it would work out, and then they can go to this great private recital. And so she writes down her number and wheels it over to Larry. Yes, it's revealed that she is in a wheelchair, and Larry's feelings about this are written all over his face. I mean, she must have felt like shit. In any normal situation, if you look like that at a person, it's not good.
No,
come on.
No, it's not.
You don't have to be that much of an open book. But this is Curb. So over at a restaurant that I couldn't quite make out the name. I could see it. The first word ends with YA, and the other word is Venice. But I looked for Ya Venice Restaurant, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Los Angeles, all of those, and nothing came back. So don't worry, because there are plenty of real and fake exterior shots of restaurants in this episode. I might have to count them up at the end, because I was like, God damn it, another location that I have to pause it and like go on a deep dive. So don't worry. But at this restaurant, Larry is there having lunch with Rosie O'Donnell and Jeff. And Larry mentions that he's going out with Denise tonight, the woman in the wheelchair, because he was stuck. He's not going because he thinks that it might be a fun time. He would have canceled it immediately the second she rolled over there if that was socially acceptable. But he says he's stuck, and he didn't want her to think that he was a bad guy. So that's the only reason he's
definitely not. Because he's
Yeah.
definitely not a bad guy.
Yeah.
We know this.
Stringing her along is a much better option than just saying, you know what, let's I'm horrible. I can't go out with a person in a wheelchair. So at least to Larry, it is. And we do get a small update on the reunion, because he is in the middle of writing the Seinfeld show, as Jeff asks him, how's the Seinfeld show going? And he's writing it right now. So we do get a little update on this story arc, but no, that's it. No more actors from Seinfeld, no more reunion. And Larry and Rosie end up fighting over who is going to pay the check. I thought this was really out of character for cheapskate Larry.
Yeah. We know he's a cheapskate, but we also know, like, he's got all of these unwritten, invisible social rules. So, I don't know. I guess they kind of, like, fight each other.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, sometimes the rules of society, he knew going out to the lunch, like, he had prepared himself, I guess. Like, well, I invited her, so I guess I'll pay the check at the end. He, like, sort of thought to himself, and that superseded his cheapskateness because he had already prepared. But Rosie thinks she is responsible for paying the check because I don't remember her reason.
Because I think she said that she touched it first. Was that her reason?
Yeah, maybe she grabbed it first, or yeah, I don't remember. But it gets physical. The fight gets physical as the scene ends. So outside Baskin Robbins, Larry runs into his friends that are hosting the Chi Yun private recital, and they also have a new baby that they have adopted, baby Kelsey. And Larry's baby talk here really cracked me up, especially the parents' reaction to it, because he's like, "Oh, Kelsey Grammer, little Frasier." And they're like,
yeah, don't
call her Frasier.
Don't call her Frasier.
Interesting Ted Danson connection, though. Frasier from Cheers, of course. And
Oh,
Ted
yeah,
Danson,
that's right.
big show there. Don't call her. But here's something I thought was weird, that this was just a quirk of, I think, the actors improvising. when you adopt a baby, do you really say we just got her? That
That's
seemed a little
odd,
crass to me.
we just got her.
We just got her. Yeah, we just got her. Like, you didn't go to a store. Like, this was probably a months-long process of, like, applying and maybe even going, like, a trip to China. Like, I mean, because it's an Asian child. I just got the feeling that, especially a girl baby from China, like, that is, something, that's something people adopt. Now I'm talking like them. We just got her. It sounded like, a little, it just sounded crass. But Larry asks if because she's Asian, if chopstick use is inherent in Chinese infants. And he also asks if she'll inherit any mental illness from the parents that they know about.
Jesus Christ. He's like, you don't want a schizophrenic.
Yeah. And also he's like, the first time she tries chopsticks, give me a call. Give me a call. I want to see that. He wants to see if, a baby, like two babies, one from China and an American that have never used chopsticks before. Would the Chinese baby be better at using chopsticks? Larry wants to know. And I like that the husband points out, so the American is the control group in that little experiment.
God damn.
That was a funny thing to notice. This, by the way, they're outside the Baskin-Robbins that Larry met Richard Lewis at in the season 6 finale, the Bat Mitzvah, when they were talking about Richard hiring the director mistakenly, not picking up on Larry's non-recommendation recommendation, and also the other rumor episode that Richard Lewis asking him if it's true that he has a gerbil up his ass, because that's what literally everyone has heard. And Boca is still there, by the way, the women's clothing store across from Baskin-Robbins at 970 Monument Avenue in Pacific Palisades. But Baskin-Robbins, the last time Google drove by, was Armav Mediterranean Cuisine. So I don't know where you're going to get your ice cream if you're in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood these days. Over at, yes, it's another location, Whetstone's Grill, which is fake. I was so surprised to find this out because they made a really nice looking sign for Whetstone's Grill.
Huh.
Yeah, I was, but also I noticed that this is the W Hotel that Larry has to stand outside of with a placard that says "I steal silverware" or whatever.
Oh my God!
In that episode, yeah, it's the exact same hotel, and he sees like everybody from that season going into the.
That was a season finale. That was like
another.
The culmination of that season was Larry standing outside of a restaurant wearing
with
a sign saying he steals silverware.
Exactly.
Before the show took off, that's for sure. In my opinion, anyway. That's whenever
before they really found their wheelhouse.
That's whenever I was still lucky to have one starred episode in a season.
Well, as they pull up to Whetstone's Grill, there is no ramp. And so Larry doesn't want to go anywhere else because that's going to suck up a lot of time. He just wants to get this over with. And so he decides to carry Denise up the stairs. And this is just what a woman wants if you have to carry her. Make a big production about how heavy that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a hard chore and just how you're really struggling with the weight of it all.
Yeah, and you know how the proper way to lift is lift with your back in a jerking, twisting motion like Larry is here. And the entire time from the instance you pick them up to the time you reach where you're going, you just constantly scream, "Ah!" That's how you lift. Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what a woman wants on a first date. If you have, if it comes up that you're picking her up on a first date, but then they notice they left the chair at the bottom of the steps. It's never revealed how they eventually got the wheelchair up to the top, but
I'm assuming that Larry sat her down on a ledge or something.
Yeah, on the steps or something like that.
or on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, probably just dumped her on the ground, knowing Larry. But they do make it inside, and Larry won't stop complaining about having to carry her, saying his back is in such pain now. How am I going to play golf tomorrow? That's his big sob story. And this was kind of funny to me because, he's like, I guess I'll have to get a cart. And she was like, oh, you don't get a cart? He's like, no, I walk. He's like, no, wait, I don't. I never walk. Walking's overrated, in fact. Like pandering to this person who has been in a wheelchair for long enough that she is comfortable knowing that other people walk. But Larry's going, no, I hate walking. In fact, anytime I walk, it's just a move from one sitting position to another. That's the only time I walk. And she admits, by the way, that she was disappointed when Larry showed up because he's bald and he was wearing a hat when they first met, and now Baldy shows up. And Larry gets it, but he's insulted by it. And he mentions that he was equally surprised when she turned out to be a wheelie.
Oh my God.
And then he gets into what is the proper term? Disabled? Handicap? Are you challenged? Are you challenged?
Wait, as he's saying disabled, handicap, she starts saying, well, actually, both of those are pretty... And she was going to say, I'm assuming she was going to say pretty acceptable. Those are pretty common. He says, challenged? Are you challenged? And then at that point, she takes a beat and goes, well, I am now.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
She's just getting so pissed off.
But at home, dropping her off, she invites him in, and Larry turns her down. But she does kind of guilt him into coming in, like, oh, it's because I'm in a wheelchair, right? And he's like, oh, what? No, of course I'll come in, of course. And then we're treated to what may be the cringiest scene in the series to date.
Oh, my God.
This wasn't even like cringe humor. This was like just cringe to me. And not because I felt like it was disrespectful to people in wheelchairs. It was just that awkward. Like Larry trying to figure out how to make out with her while she's still in the wheelchair. Like, move to the couch. I mean, he does end up saying like, how do we do this? And she's like, we'll move to the bedroom. And so that's when Larry like pushes her to the bed, like catapulting her onto it. He sees like this long hallway and takes that occasion to, I guess, because he didn't want to lift her again, right? It's got to be why he did it that way. Still hurts. Yeah. I just connected that he saw the bed and he was like, oh, I'm gonna have to pick her up onto it. Wait a second, I got this runway here and I can go all the way down and so cut to Larry's feet kind of flailing around under the covers, and then we see his head bobbing under the covers, and as he comes up for air, she's kind of like looking off into the distance, kind of bored, and he goes, anything? And she goes, no. He goes, interesting. Yeah, so Larry's not doing it for her, whatever's going on. At home, Leon hasn't come in yet, but Larry is listening to a message from John Fowler, the dude that he ran into who's hosting the concert, and he is disinviting Larry as his wife shouts about what a motherfucker Larry is in the background. The stuff that Larry said about the baby, from Kelsey Grammer to the chopsticks to being a possible psychotic, has soured his relationship with the Fowlers.
They had a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't just like they got home and called Larry. This has been like a day and a half at least.
Yeah, they've been stewing over it, and you can tell it's not a call that John wanted to make, but that he was, very much goaded into by his wife, it sounds like. But it'll probably be for the best if Larry's not there. And Leon inquires about his date with Denise, but Larry says that, in the bedroom, she wasn't feeling it. And Larry insists to Leon that he brought it, because Leon asked, did you bring it? Did you bring it? And he wants to know if he doesn't know if the tepid response is because he's bad and doesn't know what he was doing, or is it her condition? Do you feel like that's something? I mean, I got to put that on her. You got to be a communicative lover. If there's anything like that, like those terms should have been expressed ahead of time. Like, hey, here's my situation in the bedroom.
Here's my bedroom situation.
Especially any wild card like that, I feel like should be discussed before the first rendezvous. Leon is doubtful because he doesn't care if he brings it, the woman knows, and so he thinks that Larry didn't get. He's like, you should have broke that ass in two pieces. You should have come home with the bottom part of that ass. I thought that. I mean, it's at this point that I'm like, JB Smoove just has a gift. Anytime they just let him riff like he just did with Larry, and he'll do it again, I think, a little bit later on. But this time,
talking about the phone contacts.
Yeah. But anytime he can just like riff on something like, when he should have beat up that skinhead, or in this case, how you bring it to a woman, it's just like so fucking funny. And he's like, well, no, I got to break up to her, but I got to do it face to face. And even Leon agrees that you can't break up with a woman in a wheelchair over the phone. So driving around with Denise, there are no spots around the restaurant. And Denise is like, oh, park in the handicap spot, because she has brought her placard that she can hang from. And so, wow, we got a spot Larry is excited. We got a spot right in front of the restaurant. He is delighted. And inside, there is a huge line, and they didn't make a reservation. But Denise says, oh, don't worry. Let's just go up there. So when the hostess sees Denise is in a wheelchair, they are seated immediately. And on their way to the table, everybody is smiling at Larry. And when they sit down, they get free champagne from the restaurant. I mean, this is, Larry's finally being treated the way he feels he deserves. And it's all because of Denise. So we didn't get this good of a shot of the location on the way in, but we cut to a little bit later, and we see a sign outside, and we can tell that the restaurant was called I Kugini, and it was at 1501 Ocean Avenue, Ted. Ocean Avenue, we're finally there. Not Ocean Boulevard like last week. We're on Ocean Avenue in Santa Monica, but I Kugini closed in 2011 after 21 years of serving delicious Italian seafood, and it was right across from the Santa Monica Pier.
Oh, okay.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So it really benefited. A lot of tourists ended up there, but it was also a popular neighborhood spot. And it is now Meat on Ocean Steakhouse. MEAT, Meat on Ocean. If that's a play on a phrase, I don't know what it is, because that sounds like sloppy steaks. It sounds like you get sloppy steaks there. It sounds like watery meat.
There's
Meat on Ocean.
There's some innuendo pun there that needs some workshopping.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Meat on Ocean. Larry and Denise are treated to free pie from Ted Danson, who is also dining at I Kugini this evening. Larry, though, and Denise, they're way too full, so they kind of, they're going to send the pie away. But Ted comes over, and he insists that they try the pie. It's delicious. And when he meets Denise and then sees that she is in a wheelchair, he is impressed with Larry. So now his friends, he's getting this response from his friends like, wow, you're I guess, a good person. Because Ted Danson's like, oh, it's surprising. Very surprising, but nice. Again, not something you say in front of somebody who, that was kind of messed up on Ted's part, I feel like.
Yeah, like says it like in front of in front of Denise.
Yeah, basically calling her a charity case, like right in front of her. Very surprising, but nice. And he puts the waiter in the middle of this fight over whether or not Larry and Denise are going to have a bite of this pie. And Ted also, because he kind of loses the fight about Larry not eating the pie, says, you know what, I heard Rosie O'Donnell beat the crap out of you. And that's the rumor going around now as he walks away. This interaction to me was hilarious, because this is like when somebody from Seinfeld was brought into the group. The audience was treated to the fact that, like, oh yeah, these people aren't normal. Like when the Virgin was brought into hearing about the contest, like it was normal to the audience until we saw it through somebody outside the group's eyes. Like, you guys are having a contest about who can go the longest without masturbating? That is messed up. You realize that's like not something normal people do. And this was one of those situations, because Larry goes, what? She didn't beat the crap out of me. The fight was stopped. And he's trying to like convince Denise that, and she just goes, why are you fighting women?
Like, yeah, side point.
Yeah. Like, that's secondary to the fact that you fought a woman. Like, the fact that you lost, let's unpack that later. Why are you fighting women? I thought that was a hilarious delivery from her. So walking, it was again a great button on the scene, like she got with I'm challenged at the moment. Yeah. So walking, taking a little stroll and a roll, as Larry calls it, after dinner, they run into the Fowlers, and this was, again, Larry is getting everything he wants in the middle of this episode. His friends are treating him nicely. He's getting special treatment because he's with someone in a wheelchair, and now he is able to twist the knife in the Fowlers, and because he introduces them to Denise as, these are the people who disinvited us from the Chi Yun concert. He literally, and they can't say anything because they did.
That's exactly what they did. Yeah.
Sorry, it doesn't sound polite to you. Yeah, it's not like they can say no, but they do. I mean, because of the situation, they do re-invite Larry and Denise, because she's in a wheelchair, to the concert. And this to me was also hilarious, because Larry again got to give it to the Fowlers, because she's like, oh my gosh, please come. We'll give you the best seat in the house. Unless you already have it. That gets no response from him. And Larry is able to go, that's not funny. That's not funny. You're bad people. I'm not a bad person. That wasn't funny. And even as they leave, Larry makes sure to say it again. That wasn't funny, by the way. That wasn't funny about the seat. So down at the beach, Larry is there with Jeff and Susie and Sammy, and Susie demands that her fat fuck husband take a romantic walk with her on the beach. That was funny how it escalated. Like, let's take a walk on the beach. Nah, I don't want to. Come on, it'll be romantic. You can walk on the beach. No. Get your fat ass up. Like, that was so funny.
What did she say? Get your fat ass up. It'll be fucking romantic.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I know. That was so funny. So Larry is in charge of watching Sammy. And Larry, instead of watching Sammy, immediately goes to playing that sweet-ass breakaway game that came with BlackBerries. Oh, my gosh. That took me back. It was like the one thing you could do on a BlackBerry that made it kind of cool was play that little breakaway game where the ball would bounce. And
also with this, we get the exact phone that Larry has. We know that he's got like a smartphone now because we're in 2009, but we didn't know that it was a BlackBerry.
Yeah. That's right. Did you see which model it was by any chance?
Oh,
I didn't notice.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
All of them looked the exact same until they made, what was it, the BlackBerry Storm, where it was all touchscreen.
Yes, yeah. Because BlackBerry held on to that keyboard. That was their thing, the physical keyboard for the longest time. I did notice, interestingly enough, because I remember the early BlackBerries, they were just like LCD screens, but this one was in color, and it looked a little better. I can't remember, like LED lit from behind or something like that. You know, it looked a little better and it was in color. But as Larry's playing his BlackBerry game, like 2 seconds after Jeff and Susie walk off, Sammy begins drowning. Like, geez, was there a riptide that day or something?
Like right away.
The worst riptide Santa Monica's ever had. And Larry is like, oh, I'll come and save you. But he realizes he's still got his BlackBerry in his hand. So he's got to run back and throw it on the towel. But then he realizes he's leaving this piece of expensive electronic equipment exposed. And so he runs back and covers it up with the towel and throws the towel in his chair so any passing thieves might not see it. And as he runs back, Jeff has, in the meantime, rescued Sammy because he'd only been steps away. I don't even know if Larry was on the clock at that point. You know, I mean, they're right to be pissed at him, but they hadn't walked more than 10 feet, you know. So Jeff rescues Sammy, and Susie is so pissed at Larry that she chucks his BlackBerry into the ocean because that's the reason. He's like, oh, I had my phone. I had to run back and get my phone. And so BlackBerry, and she chucks it into the ocean. So back at home, Larry is literally in a new phone who dis situation because he has no contacts. They were all in his phone. He didn't have any written down or memorized, including Denise. Because
he has no way of calling her. He has no way of texting her. He doesn't have her address.
Yeah. He even doesn't have her last name because he was in the phone as Denise Handicap because you put the name in with some sort of association. And Leon, as I bet a lot of people can, Leon can relate. He's like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I got Nancy Big Tits because she has some big old tits. Janelle Sweet Ass.
Because I think he even says, because she got a sweet ass.
Because she got a sweet ass. That makes sense. Yeah. But Nancy Big Tits was hilarious. I got to admit.
Nancy Big Tits.
Yeah. But you do this, right?
I used to do this more. But now, since I switched to my iPhone, it's got a spot for first name, last name, and nickname, occupation.
Yes.
It's got all those other fields where if you don't have full name, it'll default to that.
Yes.
But you don't have to put Tim Podcast in as the name.
These days, I was looking through my contacts after this, and for sure I have a ton of people who are just Lisa Hair. I don't even know when someone named Lisa did my hair. I don't know who that is. But most of the time I have person's name and then blank's dad.
Or
maybe just the name of their kid. Like I'm looking at this guy now, Greg, and I have in parentheses Brennan because that's his kid. Or actually, look at this. I have Greg Promo. That's got to be our old coworker.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Greg Promo.
What I always find funny, and this is one of the most boomer things, is having 3 separate contact entries like Marty Work, Marty Home, Marty Mobile.
Yes.
When you can just have the same number on one contact.
That's right. I don't. I think you are. Let me see. It'd be funny if you were still like Ted Promo.
Oh God.
No, you're not. You're Ted Hollowell. You're Ted Hollowell.
For the longest time, and honestly, I may still be this in his phone.
Yeah.
My first, one of my first like good friends in college. And we ended up living together. He was at my wedding.
Yeah.
I'm still in his phone as Ted Erie.
Yeah. I know a lot of, because this is always a good phone topic, by the way, on the radio. We always got a lot, like, what are some funny contacts you have in your phone? And people would call up and go, my husband is still, Jim Blue Shirt, or Jim, or like Jim Tequila Cowboy, like the place they met or whatever. Like my husband is still, because I've just never gone in and changed it from when I met him that night, which I think is pretty funny. So like if Leon married Nancy, she would just be Nancy Big Tits in his phone, like the whole time. But so here's funny, my Y section, here's what I used to do. And this goes back like several phones, like maybe even before contacts were that good. But everybody I worked with at Y101 has Y in front of their name. So there's Y Brandy, Y Gwen, Y Katie, Y Lauren Ray. Yeah, everybody. So they would all be in the same section. And when I needed to call somebody, I just hit the Y and all my Y101 people would pop up. So here's a funny story about that, though. My boss, her married name is, and I didn't know this because she goes by her maiden name, but her married name is Work. She married a guy named Alex Work.
Oh my God.
And so when I saw her, I think I saw like her Instagram account or something, and she's like, she's like 10 years younger than me, and she's like not as social media savvy. Like she doesn't use Instagram or anything as much as you would figure a 30-year-old would. And so I saw her Instagram account and I was like, oh yeah, it's funny. You say your name is Zoe Work. I was like, that's kind of funny because, working in radio, you meet a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't want social media, so I'm going to have Tim Work. And she was like, yeah, that's my name. And I like laughed even harder. I was like, could you imagine? I was like, I had that kind of reaction, and she started laughing even harder. She's like, no, that's my name. Because I didn't know she was married. I didn't know anything about her. And she's like, that my husband's last name. She's like, that's hilarious. She thought it was like the funniest thing that I was like, that I laughed even harder when she's like, yeah, that's my name.
Well, I'm glad she took it well.
I know.
That could have been so bad.
But the funny thing is, she's like, it causes even more problems for her husband because people have called her and like called him and gone like, oh, hey, Alex, blah, blah, blah. And they're like talking. And he's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, who's this? He's like, it's Alex. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was trying to call Alex from Work. And I called what I thought was that contact, Alex Work. But I actually called my friend Alex, last name Work. She's like, that's happened a lot where people are calling him and they think it's somebody from Work. I was like, that must cause like Abbott and Costello levels of like mistaken.
I thought I called Alex Work. This is Alex Work. This is Alex from Work. Where do you work?
Exactly.
I don't work there.
This isn't Alex from Work.
But you said this is Alex Work. This is Alex Work.
Yeah. I was looking for Alex parentheses Work, not Alex actual last name Work. But I had just never seen anybody do that because, I mean, you've seen the same thing, I'm sure, where people don't want a social media profile, so they just put their last name as the radio station or Work or whatever. That's totally what I thought she was doing because we were in a conversation about how she doesn't use social media. And I was like, oh, you just have it for work. That's why it says Work. But everybody can relate to this, and Larry is now very upset because you can't ghost a walker, as he says, much less someone in a handicap situation. That'll make him even a worse person. And so he knows what neighborhood she lives in because you remember he dropped her off, but it was dark, and so they come up with the idea to just go drive around. Maybe they'll find the house. While they are driving around, Leon very succinctly elucidates the issue a lot of people have with gentrification. I found he said a lot in just a couple of lines. He's like, man, these neighborhoods, everything's so clean, everything looks the same. You can't tell one thing from another. I'm like, that's what gentrification just rips the soul out of a neighborhood and makes it all prefab. And I was like, Leon, you hit the nail on the head.
I say that as someone literally sitting in a new build house in a new build neighborhood. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least there was nothing there when you were there. You didn't like rip out a neighborhood and make rent so high that the people with any soul couldn't live there. No. And put in a Starbucks or whatever. Paradise.
I personally didn't do anything.
Yeah. I didn't do shit.
I just bought the place, so like, hey, don't get mad at me. It's not like there was a locally owned coffee shop and a senior center and a preschool. Nope, housing.
Yeah, just houses. So Ted's and I'm the same way. I think. I don't know who used to live here 50 years ago, but we're not gentrifiers. Nope, not me and Ted. But Larry does see a woman in a wheelchair, and Leon and Larry both come to the conclusion that they must know each other. And mostly it's because, so they kind of relate it to, if you lived in an all-white neighborhood, Leon, and there was another brother, as Larry says, Leon's like, I would know that brother. I would go up and talk to him. And Larry wants to double-check, by the way, that it's okay that he said the word brother. And Leon agrees. So I'm hoping that I'm okay there too. I don't think that's a bad one. But they were like, yeah, so if you're in a neighborhood with another person in a wheelchair, you probably know each other, is the conclusion they come to. And this actress, by the way, I wrote down that I had to look her up, and I was like, God, where do I recognize her from? Sarah walks into the room and sees her for 1 second.
No,
did you recognize her, by the way?
No,
yeah.
Of course I didn't.
Oh my gosh. Oh, maybe you're not a fan of the show. Because Sarah walks in and sees her for 1 second while I'm like, like pulling my hair out over where I recognize her from. And Sarah goes, oh, lady from The Office. It's like, I didn't even ask, by the way. She just goes, hey, she's from The Office. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
What's her name?
So I don't know her name, but she plays the woman who takes over when Pam is going to go on maternity leave, I think, and like tries to get with Jim. Tries to like get Jim to cheat on Pam with her because they have to go on like a business trip and stuff. And she like, they watch a movie and she's like in panties under the covers, like constantly trying to get Jim. Do you remember this? Were you an Office guy?
No. I've seen up to and including the Dundies episode, the first Dundies episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is much later.
Yeah. Are we talking about Nellie Bertram?
No.
Portrayed by, not Catherine Tate.
No. But her name might be Kathy?
Let's see.
It's interesting that
Joe Bennett, played by Kathy.
No, definitely not. Yeah, her name's Lindsay Broad. She was Kathy on The Office. I mean, that's her, right?
That's her.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
So.
Anyway.
Well, I just searched Lindsay. Lindsay Broad, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Maybe I mixed her up with someone else from The Office.
She not have anything come up on IMDb.
I just got to look up. Yeah, no. What's this called? Oh yeah, Denise Handicap. I just got to look it up on IMDb now just to see the full cast and crew. Oh, Wendy. Oh, Amy Pietz. All right, maybe it's not her. Or maybe I missed it. Maybe it's not her. Wow. No, it's her. It's her. There's a picture of her in the demo reel. So she must not have played Kathy. I wonder who she played on The Office then. She was in Marin. Well, she's worked. She has worked. Oh, Donna. Who the hell is Donna? All right, I don't know, but she was on. So I just mixed up the character. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna save this for later because I recognized her. Why the and Sarah recognized her, so she was obviously on The Office at some point. Amy Pietz. We'll figure it out next week.
Okay.
But she does have the funny line. She's like, oh, because she's in a wheelchair. Yeah, Denise, me, and Stephen Hawking, we hang out all the time because all people in wheelchairs know each other. But the Larry charm does work on her, damn it. And she happens to be listening to Chi Yun. So, I mean, what's the difference between people in wheelchairs? We got, one attractive woman in a wheelchair. Here's another one. So Larry arrives at the Fowlers with Wendy, not Denise. And after an awkward introduction with the Fowlers, Larry runs off because he sees Rosie O'Donnell, and they argue over the fight about the check. And
he's asking, is like, are you going around telling people that you kicked my ass? And she's like, yeah, so what of it?
Yeah, she's like, I did. I mean, that's what happened. So I'm just, yeah. And she's like, you were being an asshole about it. He's like, assholes don't date the disabled. And she's not my first. I love Rosie going, well, you got me there.
That was so good. She's like, well, you got me there.
Well, you got me there, but you're still an asshole about the check. And so then they start fighting over who can do the nicest thing. I'm going to rent a yacht and invite all of our friends, and we're going to go to Catalina Island, and you're definitely coming. He's like, I'm going to fly your family out first class, and I'm going to put them up at the best hotel. It was hilarious to me, the tone they were talking with. and it reminds me of one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I should send it to you, Ted, because you'd love it. They're doing those like wrestling cutaways. What was it like when Mean Gene would be like talking to a wrestler and he's like, when Hulk and I meet at SummerSlam, and they would go off on a.
Would it be like
there's a name for
during
those, right?
During a match, or just like just called a
the
promo?
Pre-recorded. Oh, just a promo. So the promo, and there's a great. I think you should leave the I think it's in the characters, right, where he's like,
oh yeah,
yep, beat me pretty bad. Don't spit on me. It's a game. It's one of the funniest things he's ever done, which is a long list. But I love that one. He's like, yep, crap my pants. I love that one. But it's so Mystery Science Theater and the bots are dressed up as wrestlers, only in their promos, they're talking about how nice they're going to be to the other person. And if you ever need a ride to the airport, I'll be there even for your 6 a.m. flight. It's funny. And they're going back and forth. And Jonah is playing the guy's like, oh, what do you have to say to that? He's like, I'll help you move, brother. And I should find it and send it to you because I think
please do.
It's one of the funniest ones. But the way they're talking, they're being so mean to each other. We're talking about, I'm going to do the nicest thing for you. I'm going to show you. And it does get as it starts getting physical. That's when the Fowlers announced that the performance is going to start. Larry runs into Jeff, who says Denise is here, and so Larry's in a bit of a situation. And he sees that Larry has shown up with another disabled woman, and he goes, what is with you? And then I love as he walks off, because Larry's like, what am I going to do? And Jeff's like, I don't know, enjoy. And he walks off.
I loved the reveal that Denise is there, because we obviously, why would we think that she's there? But Jeff like moves a little bit, and there she is.
Yes.
Like, so good.
It was.
He's like, Denise is here.
Denise is here.
And gestures a little bit, and like, boom, of course she is.
And Larry wheels Wendy into the closet. As he explains to Denise what's going on. So she knew the Fowlers because she had met them, and so she called information and got their phone number and explained everything and got the address, and so that's why she's there. And so he explains that, oh, my phone, Susie threw it into the ocean. I had to get an all new one. I don't have any contacts. Except his new phone starts ringing at that point, and as he fumbles with it, it lands in Denise's lap, and she sees that it's Wendy Wheelchair. And so she picks up the
Wheelchair?
phone. Wendy Wheelchair. She picks up the phone and says, you're in the closet? And lets Wendy out of the closet as they both confront. He's like, who are you? Wendy Wheelchair. Who are you? Denise Handicap. That's what they ask, and Larry tells them. And so they both start chasing Larry through the performance, and he finds refuge from them up a couple of stairs. But that's when this was so badass. I love this part when Rosie's like, I'll take it from here, ladies. And
starts walking up the steps.
That was so it almost would have been cool if she had like cocked her arms like Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible. Like, I'll take it from here, ladies. as Frolic starts up as she chases Larry up the steps, and we hear a commotion, and that is the end of the episode.
All righty. What do we got for homework this week?
Chi Yun. Why was it such a? Because Chi Yun played herself. This was not a made-up violinist. I'm going to try to see if there's some Chi Yun on Spotify as I go back. I got to go back to this birthday party, so I'm going to try to listen to some Chi Yun and just find out what kind of phenomenon she happened to be. There is Chi Yun on Spotify. What kind of phenomenon she was in 2009. And also Amy Pietz. Where do I recognize her from?
What do you like for cover art this week?
I mean, Larry, it's the final shot, which, we haven't gone back to as much. But it is always a good place to start talking about it. And that's the ladies looking up at Larry, the camera behind him and the ladies down at the bottom. It does give away the whole episode, but hell, you should be watching it anyway, along with us.
Well, what, of Larry running up the steps?
Yeah. Larry,
we could always do, because I had this idea of, there's a shot of from behind the ladies looking up at Larry after Wendy Wheelchair comes out of the closet.
That's true, too.
There's that, but I also really like just Rosie and Larry at lunch, just like kind of arguing over the check.
Yeah, over the check. That's a good one. Yeah, and you could even maybe get them like standing up and fighting over it at some point. All good stuff.
All right, let's see what we can do about this week's description. So we had Larry learns to embrace the upside of disability without actually being disabled and looks to disprove a rumor.
I don't know if I dislike it as much as I did at the beginning. Where are you on this?
It's so generic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
looks
hate
to
without
disprove
having
a
to be
rumor. Wow, that doesn't sound like anything that's happened this season so far.
I hate also without having to be disabled. You don't even have to say learns. Larry embraces
the upside of disability.
What if we even put in there like Larry embraces the upside of his date's disability? I mean, I hate to say girlfriend or new love interest because that's just too wordy. But
they're not like dating yet.
Yeah. So Larry embraces the upside of his date's disability.
Do we need any?
I was gonna say. I mean, the rumor isn't a big deal.
Yeah, it's not nearly the level of the same season rumor. I think, or was this last season of Larry putting the gerbil up his ass?
That was the season 6 finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're only 5 episodes removed from that.
Yeah. So I mean, just take out the rumor. We don't need it. Tries to disprove a rumor.
Yeah, just end it after the disability. Which,
and what did you do to
out of
disprove
context
it?
sounds very bad.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could say like Larry endures the ups and downs of his date's disability because there's the whole thing about him making love and not knowing if he's bad or it's her condition, as he said. Do we like that, or does ups and downs make it to? Because that's where your mind would go with Larry. Yeah. Like, oh, of course, being disabled is a bad thing. So I think we probably downs makes it more generic by adding more information.
I think just keep it upside.
Yeah. Larry embraces the upside of his date's disability.
There it is.
Perfect.
All right, Tim, did you like this episode?
This was a tough one to grade because I didn't like it at first, but I thought the end was so good. It almost pulled up the rest of the episode. And even talking about it, I don't remember what I disliked about it. So I might give this a star low.
Okay.
Yeah, because the way it all came around and Larry like bringing just trading one disabled woman for another, and like I thought it was so funny, and them discovering and Jeff going, "What is with you?" It was very funny. So I think that's where I'm going to land on this. What about you?
Okay, I think I'm going with a star low. Because I did think it was very funny, but not quite like laugh out loud, like dying of laughter funny. It was very like chuckling at circumstances.
Right. And the way I had to, because last week I gave out a star low, and I'm like, it wasn't funnier than the hot towel, but It was funnier than the average episode. So that's why it's got to be a low.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yep. Because I gave my new ranking of a star high low last week to the hot towel, and it was not funnier than the hot towel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It sounds like we both, in our own respective grading systems, landed exactly at the same place on this episode.
Same fucking spot,
yeah.
All right. Next week, we've got Season 7, Episode 6, The Bear Midriff. Original air date, October 25th, 2009. And if you are looking in TV Guide that night, you are going to see Larry and Jerry Seinfeld consider incorporating Larry's latest real-life experience into the reunion show.
All right, so finally, it seems like we're going to get some Jerry at least.
Yeah,
to this season.
Yeah, episode 3 and 6 of a 10-episode season are where we get actual appearances by Seinfeld.
And I mean, that synopsis, it on its face, not knowing anything about the episode, it kind of sucks, right?
It's bad.
It's not good. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like Larry and Jerry, think about incorporating.
I always like how you're like, just kind of like tiptoeing and like still trying to be respectful. It could be a little better, couldn't it? And I'm just like, no, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's like so wordy and like I think we'll be able to talk a little bit about whatever this life experience is. It sounds like something too that how long are they going to spend the whole episode wondering if they should put this experience in the show? I highly doubt it.
Not.
I highly doubt it. So, all right, I think we'll be able to make that better, but I don't remember what this episode's about. So we'll have to see next week. All right, is that it?
Yeah, I think that is it.
All right, for No Hugging, No Learning, I'm Tim Murphy.
I'm Ted Hollowell. Be good.